romantic novels, comedy and mystery. First novel, audiobook read, Engaged to be Married. Chapter 3. Travelogue, May 21st. Meanwhile, Lynette and her mother check off their list of to-dos, and finally goodbyes are said to the exhausted minister. The wedding date, to be held on a Saturday, is at last set in stone, and they couldn't be happier. However, it had to be pushed forward because of scheduling conflicts, and is going to become a late fall themed wedding, and what Lynette insists that she's always dreamed of anyhow. This affords the ladies only 5 months to finalize the last of their plans, or even alter those plans as the need may arise. Lynette is strongly encouraged by her mother to call Charles right away and make certain he places the date on his calendar, since he works on more weekends than not. Making money simply can't interfere with her wedding day. But for some odd reason, Charles doesn't immediately answer his phone as he's usually accustomed to doing. Lynette gets distracted from leaving a message for Charles when the doorbell rings, causing a dainty little chime to fill the stone-cold silence in the house. It does carry on for too long, and even their doorbell is greatly overstated. Taken quite by surprise, Lynette discovers that the local and utmost prestigious cake decorator in the entire county is standing at her mother's front door, no less. Her mother smiles and points a long, teasing finger at her daughter's upturned nose. Mother dares not touch the daughter's nose, though, at the risk of disturbing her impeccable cosmetics. Lynette's mother has pulled off a sneaky one this time, and it comes at a very welcomed revelation by her daughter. She proceeds to relish her mother with the biggest hug, only for her to be gently pushed backwards. The decorator sighs, seeing he is caught smack dab in the middle of the cuddly embrace. He makes his excuses in order to set up the lovely cake testing display. He's the one and only cake decorator around, offering personalized house calls. And he wisely crafted the disguise of being more intimate and private. Years ago, he became sick and tired of clients staying at his bakery for hours on end, taking his valuable time when he should be in the kitchen managing his bakers. But all the while, the clients would devour free, exquisite samples and ask for more sample after sample. But no more. His establishment is not a restaurant after all. His is a bakery. Out of desperation, then, the baker ultimately came on a really smart idea. He now brings certain samples along on his house calls. Once his delectable samples are devoured, he secures their order and immediately takes his leave. 2, he charges for cake taste testing with this preferred one-of-a-kind service. Women think he is especially catering to them, but he is just trying to make a decent living and not work 24/7 and give away tons of free samples. After an ordeal of wheeling in the pre-assembled display table, he begins. The wheels have to be cleaned initially, and then a plastic runner had to be laid down in the traffic path. Politely informed was he that this should be the basic and expected procedure at every of his house calls. He concedes to their all-wise counsel on cleanliness, i.e., leaving the dirt outside where it belongs. They all sit and make pleasantries while tasting samples of cake. Each confectionery ingredient is thoroughly explored. The 2 ladies discuss the seriousness of their cake choices as the baker stands politely holding 2 little plates at a time while longing to be on his way much sooner than later. Mother and daughter surprise one another as they ultimately choose the exact same flavors for cakes and icings, even down to the delicate flower petal designs for all 3 cake choices. All present are very delighted that their 2 minds have come together so readily. For another reason, the decorator is very thankful. They are dropping a boatload of money with their top-of-the-line choices that they have made. Lynette is so extremely happy and overwhelmed, she begins to cry. She wonders, I'm very happy, so why am I crying, Mother? Mother smiles, wise as she is, and turns her back on the cake decorator, grabs hold of her daughter's heaving shoulders to steady her, and whispers, because, dear, you've waited so long for this. This has been delayed for way too long by Charles, and you are now feeling the relief. This is why you're so happy and crying. I suppose you're correct, Mother, Lynette sniffles. Mother turns to the cake decorator, still smiling. Ah, young lovers, such an emotional time, is it not? Getting to this point in their lives was no small feat, to be sure, for either of the two women. Simultaneously, they turned towards the portrait. Paramount in both of their minds are two simple words. Finally, Charles. This ends chapter 3, and we will continue with Engaged to be Married in chapter 4.